Hi, welcome back to the farm. My name's Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me here each week talking about my farming and creative life. Have I done anything outside? Have I done any gardening? No. It's been cold and wet and the perfect weather for being inside, either dyeing yarn or knitting, and that's what I've been doing this week. So that's mostly what I'm going to talk about. I do have stuff that needs to be planted in the garden. I've got quite a few new plants that are sitting in pots just on my decking. So they're getting some rain and a little bit of shelter, but I do need to get them into the ground. I would like to this weekend if I can. I just want a day where it's not super windy and heavy rain. I don't mind getting out in some misty rain and getting that sort of stuff done, but it has been fairly wild weather here. My only real outside time this week has been checking in with the sheep, just spending a little bit of time. As I've said, I'm trying to do something a little bit different with Vito to try and get him to not headbutt me quite so much. It has been working. It's still an issue when I'm bringing food in. He wants to be the dominant one and he gets down and he's trying to push the others out of the way, and I end up getting pushed out of the way as well. So I'm trying to still sort of work through that with him a little bit, but it has been nice to spend some time out with them, and I will probably do a little bit more of that over the weekend as well. So as I said, I've either spent this week here in the shed dyeing, or I've been sitting in front of the fire or where the heater is on, and I've been knitting. So first to the dyeing. I got 5 colours dyed this week and they are now drying. I just checked them before and I'm going to have to get the fan on them, or I'm going to have to move them to the house in front of the fire because they just haven't even started to dry yet, and I don't want to leave them sitting wet for too long. So I started with my flower colorways. I have done wildflowers, iris, fuchsia, dandelion, and lavender. I just had to look at the drying rack to figure out which one I'd missed. So I will be doing another batch of flower colorways probably tomorrow, and then I will be able to move on to some of the others that are on my list. It has been really nice to get back in and to be dyeing again. As I said, I kind of do it in batches, and because I had a few markets and things, and also the no water situation here in the shed, it has been a little while since I was able to play around. So it was a really nice creative week for me, even though I was doing colors that have been around for quite a long time. Some of them are some of my original colors. Iris and fuchsia were a couple of the first colors that I ever sold. I also did a little bit of an audit of supplies this week, and I've ordered some stickers, new business cards, and more mini skein tags. Things were starting to get a little bit low, so it was good to sort of touch base and check in on that stuff and get those ordered. And I've ordered some new equipment, which has arrived super quickly. So thank you to the people at WondoFlex for their very quick service and shipping. I was making up some mini skeins, and my skein winder was playing up. It was slipping down, so it sort of, as it was spinning, the middle pin was going further and further down until the umbrella part of the Swift was like touching the table. So it was becoming a little bit impractical to work. I had to get a hammer and hammer it back up again, and it would go for a little while longer, and then I'd have to hammer it back up again. So yeah, not ideal when I do a lot of reskeining. And that umbrella Swift has been with me since before I was dyeing. I was using it for just winding balls for myself as a knitter, and then it has become sort of a much more used item here as part of Passion Flower. So it has certainly earned it a rest now. It has done a lot of work. So I searched around on the internet for a new umbrella Swift, because that's the kind of Swift that I like to use, because you can be quite flexible with it quite quickly. Some of those flat ones, you've got to move the pegs around, and it suits my setup of how I've got my winding station set up. So I wanted something that was in stock in Australia and that was reasonably priced and that could ship like straight away. So I did a lot of searching, and because of supply chain and postage delays from overseas, a lot of places had them listed, but they were on back order or out of stock. But I did find them at Wondoflex, and I have it here. So here, that's the details of Wonderflex. And here, I just picked this up yesterday. I haven't even opened it yet. So here we go. So I got the Knit Pro Signature Swift. Let's take a look. Instructions, handy. Oh. There. Wow. So here it is. Really pretty. I love the wood. And you can wind it from the top, but it also has, it'll just spin on its own around there, and it's got this peg that you screw in to put it in place, and a nice big clamp that will be able to sit on my table. So I got this, and while I was at it, because I also was in dire need of this thing as well, I got a new ball winder that matches the Swift. Went a little bit over the top, huh? So this will wind really big balls, which is something that I've wanted to be able to do for a while. I've, to a point, only been able to sort of wind around 150 grams, and then I've had to be really careful and either hand wind it off, or it kind of will pop off the small Royal ball winder that I had. And again, that ball winder I have had since well before I was dyeing yarn. It was the very first one I've had. So I have taken care of my stuff and used them to their very, very limits of what they're capable of being able to do. So this is going to replace that. I may end up taking the smaller ball winder over to the house to use just if I need to quickly rewind something. But now I have my big mega ball winder that I'm really excited to set up and use. Again, it's really pretty. It's got the colors that match the skein winder, or the umbrella Swift. And it will be able to wind really large balls. So I'm looking forward to trying this out. I will set it up and take some video, and I can show you it in action next week. And I'll sort of do a bit of a comparison about how the balls wind between the two different setups, so that maybe you can decide if it's something that you wanted to get for yourself. So I'm really looking forward to trying out my new equipment. This week I'm wearing the Love You Baby shawl. I'll put a link below. It is brioche and triangle shaped. The yellow is from an indie dye that no longer dyes, but the purple and the blue in there are colours that I dyed. The blue is Jewel C, which will be restocked in the shop very soon, hopefully next week. We'll see how we go with drying things. And the light purple is a light mistake version of your turning violet violet. So it would normally be a lot darker overall than this one turned out. So that's why I used it for myself. Even though it was cold and wet, I kind of didn't get that much knitting progress done, really. I'm actually surprised at the lack of knitting I actually got done this week. I still only have the 2 projects really on the go that I'm actively working on. The first is just the bed socks for my dad. So I've finished the first one, and it's nice and long. The leg goes to the same length as the foot, and I put in a contrasting heel, and I used stock yarn held double and pulled from both ends of the ball. I thought that would make the heel a little bit more sturdy, and also it's the point that's going to wear out. He's sort of going to be using them as slippers. So what I'll be able to do is, if it gets a hole, is just pick up the green and pop in an afterthought heel to replace the one that's in there. And I've done that with another pair of his socks. Well, I had put in a separate heel, and he's given them back to me because I've got holes in them. So I will be repairing those so that he can have those socks back as well. So I will show you when I do the repair on those, so you can see what I'm talking about in terms of taking out just that heel section, picking up the stitches for the rest of the sock, and working in a new heel. So I have started the second one. I only started this last night, so I'm about halfway, a third maybe through the foot. So I need to zoom on these because it is his birthday next week. So I need to have these finished before that. So they should be fine. I can sit and knit over the weekend a little bit, and hopefully I'll get these done. And of course, my other projects is the Painting Honeycomb shawl by Stephen West. I made progress with a few more rows. Each row is getting a lot longer, so it looks like I'm making less progress, but it is getting quite wide now. I am well into the dark green. Still really enjoying it. I'm loving watching the colors start to progress through my hand spun gradient. And I am sure to be able to make progress on this too, because it's starting to get big enough to use as a blanket. So I am enjoying having it on my lap and seeing how it's coming out. Well, that's it for another week. Thanks for spending some time with me. If you're enjoying these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I look forward to seeing you next week on the farm. Bye.